Celsius, and I was like, just so exhausted the whole rest of the day and sweaty and shit. It was just horrible. I hated it. I never want to touch online like a big ass tournament like that again. Like, it's just not even close to the same thing as being at an event
Agreed.
and actually playing. It's not even close.
Agreed.
And like, I just think the way that hands are constructed on Dueling Book is also bullshit. Like,
Yeah, a lot of people feel that way, and I can't even disagree with it. Like, the hands just don't draw as well on Dueling Book.
yeah, like I draw drivers so much on Dueling Book, bro. Driver's actually my best friend. It's actually cancer. Holy, the amount of times I go link my friggin' normal zombie monsters into Link Spider to special summon Driver from my hand to attack is ridiculous. It should not happen, but it does. Hate that card.
That's
My
crazy.
goodness.
Just
Well,
stop
thanks,
playing
bro.
Gamma.
But Gamma's so good.
It's
Gamma's
because
so
it's broken.
good. And Gamma's very nice.
They printed
If
a
Gamma
broken
didn't have to play
monster.
Driver, oof. Oof. Also, Dorian, I'm getting better at League.
Yeah?
I'm level 25.
25. Oh,
played
wow,
with-
you're almost there.
Yeah, I played with my friend Noel today in a random game, and I got 12 kills, 7 deaths, and 6 assists.
Nice. You still playing ADC?
Yeah, but MF got nerfed, so it's big sad day.
No, she didn't get nerfed.
Isn't she going to?
I don't think so. I'll double check, but I don't think so.
Mark sent me Mark called me and then sent me a Facebook thing about getting a new champion because MF's getting nerfed.
Let me see. Patch.
I was like, I just like Sky Striker. Sick.
Hold
Fuck,
up,
it's never
put
that
into
bad.
perspective. Dorian, what level are you if Dylan's level 25?
The level for the
We don't
account
need to
doesn't
talk about
matter.
that.
level for
Joe,
the account
we
doesn't
don't
matter
need to talk
much.
about that. Why you gotta bring that up, Joe? Come on,
Because
man.
I'm trying to understand.
It
That's
doesn't
why I'm
matter
trying to
much.
make funny this
So
time.
I've been playing for a long time, but your level goes up based on the games, and they only really introduced additional levels past 30 or past 100 or something recently.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
This guy ruined the chat. You can't just pop in here. It's on a video call.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, you can pop in here.
He
I'll just
better
change the
unmute
screen.
his ass. He better unmute his ass. He better unmute his
He's
ass.
just listening. He's just listening.
Oh my goodness.
Greg. Hello, Dad.
I
Forgive me,
guess
Daddy, for I have sinned.
Yo, Joe, why are you so sus?
Yo, it's 2020, dog. No shame, no shame.
You do you, bro. You do you.
Yeah, live your best life, Joe.
Are
Honestly.
you
Sure.
staying? Are you staying for this hour?
No.
All right, then leave.
Okay, bye. Have a good
You're gonna
time.
You're gonna make me change formats for the podcast for no reason, just for like the minute you're here.
My bad. I haven't played Yu-Gi-Oh in a long time. I don't even know what decks are good.
You know what decks are good. You know more than I have. Dude, I don't even
Dylan
know how to
Fricker-
say
gonna-
adamantipacipators or some shit.
Adamus rocks.
Rocks.
Rock Turbo.
Yep.
Yeah.
I
rock.
call it cancer, but same thing.
Someone was explaining that deck to me yesterday and said, hey, remember how Sylvan's excavated 3 to activate an effect? Well, the
Oh.
rock deck excavates 5 to special summon. And I was
No,
like,
that's
"Wait,
not. That's
what?"
not the case. That's not the case. The worst thing about them is that if your opponent controls a monster, you can special summon it.
Oh, yeah, that too.
So, you went first and have an unbreakable board. It'd be a shame if every single one of my cards was an extender.
Oh, it turns like they are.
That's
Oh.
crazy.
Oh no, you have a golden zombie boy in your field. It'd be a shame if I had 6
Oh.
rocks.
Someone's about to get stoned. Holy.
Yeah, man, someone about to get stoned like witches.
Joseph, how you getting stoned tonight? Pen?
You know what I still have from that pen?
No way.
Yeah.
You're crazy, bro.
All right, everyone, have a good time. Sorry for intruding.
That's
Bye,
okay.
Queggy.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
I do miss Craig, man. I miss all you guys.
I miss everybody.
I don't miss anyone.
That's fair, and I hate myself and everything.
I was telling Milano this yesterday. I said, you know how like when people, because Milano was saying, you know when you walk up the stairs and everyone turns to you at GN to see who's coming up the stairs?
Yeah,
I go,
that feeling
I-
is gone.
That feeling is gone, but now think about how nice it's gonna be I know Dorian, you don't like hugs, but imagine when we all get back and that first locals, when anyone comes up the stairs, how everyone's gonna turn, look, and instead of just waving, everyone's gonna get up and go give them a hug.
Not me.
Okay,
Exactly.
I have a disclaimer for
Not-
both of you in this chat.
Yep.
As soon as I see Sosa, I'm grabbing onto his left leg and I'm not letting go. And I will sit there for 35 minutes.
I mean, you're of age now, so it's fine.
Exactly. You know, if I die, it's plus because I die, and you know what? Then that's it. But if he doesn't kill me, then I can sue him. So it's plus either way.
Yeah.
You either get your insurance, your life insurance, or you get the film.
Exactly. Thank you, Joe. Thank you. I couldn't have put it any better. Thank you so much. That's my mindset with biking too. You know, I get bam, T-bone, easy game.
No.
See you in the next one, boys.
No. I mean, as long as you're in like the proper bike place, right? Once you're
Oh,
in the
no.
bike place.
Yeah, no, I'm actually very safe on my bike,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I would much rather prefer to die. But you know what? That's neither here nor there. Let's get on with the podcast.
Aren't we all?
Have we
Speaking of
started
dying,
recording this?
yeah, speaking of dying,
Okay.
Oh, you
I don't even
intrigued
know
my
how
interest.
it's been a couple weeks. I don't even remember how I intro this shit. Joe, you intro.
Oh, okay. What's up, YouTube? It's your boys from Cardboard Craving. I'm Joe. I'm on Team Cardboard Cravings. You know me, the man, the myth, the annoying legend. We got in the left corner, I think it's left corner, I don't know what layout you're using. We got team captain and founder, the man, the myth, the even bigger legend, Mr. Dorian.
The very cute Dorian. Look at that
Oh,
setup.
Thank
Look at that
The
setup.
cutie patootie. And finally, in the red corner, coming in at like 90 pounds and 4'9". The
4'6". I just got car seat. Thank you very much.
Okay, cool. Just checking. The
Yeah,
man that
thank you.
actually did top Nats with the worst Sky Striker list I've ever had to play against because
Yes.
of how annoying it was.
Yes.
My
Yes,
good
I am.
friend and Game Nation member, Mr. Dylan Fricker. How are
Thank
you
you so
today?
much for having me, guys. I really appreciate it.
No worries.
Can't wait to talk about how I can't read Denko Sec on a podcast. Be so nice.
I actually was gonna see how long we were gonna go until someone brought it up, because I was gonna go out of my way to not do it.
Listen, Dorian, I know myself and my friends, and I know exactly what we're thinking. So I'm gonna get
It's
it
funny
out
that I
right out
even-
in the open.
Like, I brought up Nats and I didn't even make fun of him.
I was
for that.
ready.
I made
As
fun of
soon
him for
as you
everything
said
else.
Nats, as soon as you said Nats, I was like, oh lord, here it comes, the intro.
I gotta tease him.
Oh man.
A little bit of foreplay for Mr. Fricker.
Yes. But like I said, thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no worries, dude. We like to make these for fun and sometimes quite informative for the people who do like watching them.
Yeah, no, fair enough.
Otherwise, it's really just us chatting and doing dumb shit. Usually when I have the cameras for you guys, we do show and tell, but we'll probably save that for another episode.
No,
What I kind of want to start with is obviously a very inconsistent schedule for how the podcast has been coming out. It's hard to talk about Yu-Gi-Oh when you don't play the game. With the quarantine going on, it's hard for us to like put the time to dedicate, or even for me to like gather friends to try and even play online. As you would have already heard, we do not. A lot of us don't actually like playing online. It's significantly different. I don't think I've touched a card in like 3 weeks, like physically, like not one card in a sleeve. I'm afraid that when this is all done, I'm gonna pick up my cards again and like not like how they feel. So, so I'm worried about that.
I mean, I still have a play set of your Sanctums, and I still have a play set of Cody's Dark Ruler No Mores, because that was the last locals we all went to.
Yeah, I gave Mark a bunch of cards for him to test with the last locals we went to, and I don't even know what those cards are anymore because it's been like 2 months.
Yeah.
True.
So,
I mean, like, I think the quarantine and like especially in the Yu-Gi-Oh world has really affected me a lot because I moved away as well. So like I just lost basically my entire season, including nationals, which is like the only time of the year I get to play. So it's like hella disappointing for me. And I'm in the same boat as you guys. Like I don't enjoy online Yu-Gi-Oh. I think it's a way different, and it literally takes away the whole point of Yu-Gi-Oh.
Dylan, I was gonna say I actually do want to hear that story from you because I want to get the intro for people who don't know you. At least what you were doing in the last year, like where you've been. Because there are people that know you and might know your name, especially from Nats because it was Nats last year. but they don't
Mhm.
know you as of recent because they probably haven't seen you around.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, for sure. I can give some background. So at the beginning of 20 summer 2019, which is last year, I just finished high school, and I was applying for all the universities that I wanted to go to, and I chose to go to the University of King's College in Halifax, which specializes in the foundation year program, which is like a really cool intro to like history, philosophy, languages, which is what I did all my first year. And right before I left, we went to a couple of events. We went to nationals, which I managed to grab a top cut spot in. We went to the UDS where I lost in the second last round on the bubble, and then I played a regional, which I got second at, and then that week I was gone for university. And I was really looking forward to coming home in around April, May, going to Pasadena, going to nationals, going to these events, and trying to do well. Because like I don't get to play as much anymore, but I'm still really passionate about the game, and I still really like it, and I miss my friends that play it. So it really sucks that I don't get to see any of them for the season. But yes, that is my tragic story of how Dylan does not get to play nationals 2020.
Yeah, I think that was my curiosity. I totally forgot that you were away, and so when they told me you
Yeah.
were back, like before we all started playing League, um,
Mm.
when they told me you were back, I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense because they like would have shut everything down and you would have had to come home because of the pandemic and
Mm.
shit. So like, I just didn't consider like I totally would have even forgotten like what if you were trapped out there kind of thing, right? Like what if they just like didn't let you fly home because you had a residency
Yeah.
and just made you stay?
Yeah, well, like my dad was nice enough to get me a flight like pretty early, so
Mm.
I was able to get home. Um, Quarantine's just been like hella boring, and I don't know. I've just been trying to keep busy whatever ways I can, right?
Yeah,
That's about it.
that's fair. Are you guys getting out and getting
Yeah.
healthy and shit, or are you guys like totally staying home?
So you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. I don't. So every day for about like 30 minutes, my dad and I go outside and we just throw baseball back and forth.
Oh,
So
that's
that's
nice.
that's my
That's
fresh air, which is really nice. And
Mm.
also like when I'm pissed off, I just throw the ball harder, so I can blow off a bit of steam, which is nice. And we
Mm.
have a bit of a home gym in my basement, so we just have a couple free weights, and I have a stationary bike, so
Oh,
most
you're
nights,
good. Yeah.
yeah, I go. There's a Pokemon content creator called A Drive, and he does some cool
Mhm.
playthroughs of ROM hacks of Pokemon games, just like hard versions of Pokemon games, where the Pokemon are also randomized, so it's way more fun. And he does them Nuzlocked as well, so it's a good time. He has like all his Pokemon killed. I get to laugh along and get distracted for 30 minutes to an hour, get some physical activity in. Don't put on the COVID 19 pounds. And
Yeah. Fair enough.
That's funny. That's the first
there
I
you
heard
go.
of that.
I made that up on the spot, actually. I was pretty proud of it. I
Oh,
thought it could be a
okay.
bit catchier, but I'm glad you smiled.
That was great,
Yeah,
Joe. That was great.
I'm gonna
I
make fun of
loved
my
it.
girlfriend for it immediately after this podcast.
Tell her I say hi.
Yeah,
Spread
absolutely.
positivity in relationships, guys. That's the message here, okay?
Yeah, no, I'll do it with a
Be
smile on my face. That's the positivity for sure.
supportive.
You can fucking film it while you do it so that you can make
No,
a
no,
TikTok out of it too.
no, 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 no.
You guys are killing me. Oh my goodness. No, back to the question. About a week, 2 weeks ago, I want to say, like my stepmom really like my stepmom doesn't really take any bull crap, and she was like, "We you need to do something like productive," and so I was like, "Okay," and I started doing like DoorDash and Uber Eats, and so
You're working?
yeah, I'm working.
That's fun.
Wait, you're
Uh,
doing DoorDash?
Yeah, what the
yeah,
heck?
That's fucking sick.
That's sick,
yeah,
but
I've been
also
doing
don't
it.
die, right? Like you're like
Yeah,
glove and mask and
well,
shit, right?
yeah, well, actually, so I've had to come up with like a pretty elaborate system to do it during this time because it's so like hectic and people are so friggin' crazy.
Yeah.
So I have to wear like I literally look like Darth Vader. Like I just have like huge black mask on my face, black gloves, hoodie, jeans, long socks. Like there's literally no areas of skin besides my eyes, which are exposed.
Hmm.
So I'm like hella safe. And if you work really hard on DoorDash, like it's easy to get ahead type thing.
Yeah.
And it's really good because it like works whenever I want it to. Because I can just be really bored and be like, okay, I want to go try and make some money, and then just
Yeah, you have like
start
8 hours
dashing.
today or whatever. I've always been curious about
Exactly.
talking to someone that is like my mom did Uber and Lyft for like a probably like a year or two. Um,
Mm.
and so like I do get like the first hand experience, but she did it like really early on and like when they like first appeared. But with
Yeah.
like food delivery, I was always like curious because like obviously you see all the methods of like how they tell you like some like you don't like when you order something you're not tipping them, or are they tipping you separately, or like do people treat you better or worse because you are delivering food and stuff.
Mm.
And then like
There's so
I imagine
sorry,
you're
go ahead.
going by like bike, right? Like, are you walking it or
Yes,
biking it? Yeah. Okay.
I'm
So
biking it. Yeah.
yeah. So do you have your own bag, or do they provide that kind of thing?
Don't you pay for
So
it?
I for the for the first week and a couple days, I had to use like kind of my own Frankenstein's monster.
Yeah.
I kind of took one of my old school backpacks and installed some like cooler elements to make sure that I could get food like on time and like because what's really annoying about DoorDash and a lot of these platforms is that if your customer rating isn't really high, even when you first start, then there's a chance they can deactivate you. So if you're not getting the food there, warm and in a really good condition, you will get bad reviews, which will lead to you being deactivated without you even knowing. So
Okay.
one of the biggest problems I had to address was just being able to carry the amount of food that they're giving me, because a lot of the times when you're going uptown, they're double ordering you with like a significant amount of food, and it's a lot to get up there. Like going up to Mount Pleasant,
Yeah. Even like the hills and shit.
Eglinton. Yeah, it's a lot. So that was kind of a struggle, but since I got the DoorDash bag, it's been a lot easier. And I ordered some stuff on Amazon for my bike to make things a little easier, like a holder for my phone and stuff like that.
That's cool, dude.
That's cool.
But yeah, but if I'm being honest, like DoorDash is honestly just hard work, because you just have to go wherever they tell you to go and drop off whatever they tell you to drop off. It's pretty simple.
Do
Nice.
you have any issues? I guess you would have delivered to everything like houses, condos, basements, whatever at
Mm,
this point. Do you have
yeah.
any issues like managing like if they put in the wrong address, or like there's no buzzer, or like anything like
Yeah,
that?
like a lot of people. That's a good question, by the way. But tons of people like don't give me their buzzers and somehow expect me to teleport into their building. So of course I have to call them or text them. And I try to be courteous in that, like, hi, my name is Dylan. I'm here for DoorDash. Could I have your buzzer number so I can bring you your food? And usually they're very, very nice. I've only had like two bad experiences my entire time in terms of like customers. So
How
I
long have
have
you been
no.
doing this?
2 weeks, close to that. 2 weeks, yeah,
That's still pretty good. That means you've been paid.
yeah. Yes, it has.
Okay. How is that? You don't have to give me like actual details.
Yeah. So back to the question, Dorian.
Yeah.
It actually really varies. So like on some of it's pretty crazy. I think I'm 18 and I have a bike in a bag which I whip around the city to the best of my ability. That is not a very efficient system, as much as I hate to admit it. But people who have like a real system, like cars, people who they can rely on to help them deliver and stuff like that, you can probably make over $200 a day on all these apps.
Yeah.
Because like for me, I do like two shifts a day. So I get up early. I get up at like 8 or 7:30, and I do the morning rush downtown. So I'll get like 4 or 5 orders, and because I do it at times where the demand is high, I get paid more, which
Hmm.
obviously is why I do it. And I just get as many deliveries as I can during that time period. Then I just go home, relax, and then get ready for the next kind of wave. And like I said, I go out from 7:30. I'll probably go till 12, and then I'll come back for like 1, because it takes me a while to get home. Let's say like 12:31, and then I go back out for 5 till 8, 5 till 7:30 on some nights. Um, and I'm picking up like from some very like expensive places, which is kind of cool
Hmm.
because of the like COVID thing. Everywhere's doing it. Like everywhere's doing DoorDash. So I've
Yeah.
kind of just been in every sort of restaurant at this point, and it's really cool. Uh, and I think that the experience has been so good for me. I think because it's just like I'm in the house anyway, and I'm not really doing anything productive. Not as productive as getting in shape and making money, right? Those are like the two kind of best things for me, I think, at my age.
Yeah.
So being able to do both of those things on my schedule whenever I want is just like the coolest thing ever.
Yeah.
And I think it's
That's
a really good. Sorry, go ahead.
I think literally what you're saying. I think it's super cool that someone your age can do that. And I don't think you're limited to like you need like what you need a bike, and like you said, you
Yeah,
can put together a bag until they send it to you. But like
exactly.
I've seen some people that
Like,
had to deal with like walkers. Like, can you
mm,
walk to some of these places?
um, so like, it depends because if you're walking, the problem is you won't make a lot of money because you're not going a great distance, right?
Yeah.
So they're gonna pay you based on like how far it is. Uh, so the way I try to make money while doing this kind of thing is you go to areas where there are high quality restaurants where people will generally order more from there, and then it's targeted areas that they'll deliver to, right? So like restaurants in Yorkville generally deliver to like Forest Hill, kind of wealthier neighborhoods.
Yeah.
So it's a ways away, which makes me money,
Yeah.
and that's kind of just how I approach it.
Makes sense.
But no,
Do you
it's
get
like
paid by
it's
distance?
uh
It's
I literally have it set up on the app, so they just deposit in my bank account and every Monday.
no.
But like,
So Joe,
does your
yeah,
fee?
I think it's based
Did,
on distance and time. I imagine, right?
Yes, distance and
okay,
time, and I also get customer tips, right?
Yeah.
Like that's
So
also a
also
thing.
value of the item. So like if they're
Yeah,
ordering like
exactly.
$150 worth of shit and they're tipping you like 10% or something, then
got
like
it.
you're getting
So Yorkville to Forest
more
Hill,
bucks.
which is what, a 30-minute bike ride?
Yeah, something like probably 25, 20 if I'm really pushing it. So they'll probably give me what, like $20 for that, and that's only one order, right? So
Hmm.
that takes me what, 40 minutes to complete it.
Yeah.
And then knowing an order that size, they'll probably say, hey, for an extra $8, you can stop on your way to the guy's house, pick up someone else's food, and then take it to that guy's house. And then from that guy's house, it's like a 3-4 minute bike ride to the other person's house where I drop off the other order.
Yep.
You know what
So
I
that's
think
how DoorDash comes.
I really like about this, and just like an entirely separate situation, especially for a person like of your age. I love that this
Mm,
is gonna give you, and not to say you didn't already have it, but if someone wanted to do
mm,
this, it gives them like complete sense of direction for like the city. Like after this,
yeah.
you're gonna know like where to go. You're gonna know all the cool little shortcuts and shit. You're gonna be able to try
I
new things.
caveat here
Mm.
for the
Listen, I've
people
had
listening
so
at
much
home.
fun doing it. Oh my goodness. Sorry, go ahead, Joe.
For the people listening at home, Dorian saying that is so perfect because I've gone on Yu-Gi-Oh road trips with this man where he just knows where random ass Burger Kings are in the randomest part of the fucking city because his sense of direction in the city of Toronto is
Listen, that may be
unmatched.
something other than a sense of direction, my friend. That may be a sense
No,
of hunger, okay?
yeah, okay. No, yeah, I smell the I smell the fucking
Yeah,
fryers.
he senses it. It's a sixth sense.
No, that's Cody's sense. Cody's superpower is that he can smell food from any distance away. My
Mm,
superpower is actually something that specifically, Joe, that it's quite funny that you bring up. Is even my girlfriend says it, and like my parents have always known it. I've just had a good like compass sense of direction my entire life, and I have like this
mm,
weird like I mean I guess like viewers could also bond with this. I don't know if you guys have it, so like I'll just explain it. I have like this weird like mind map ability where like I can close my eyes and envision the exact route that I would take to GN from this moment. Like from this moment. So I can walk myself in my mind, like out of body, to my hallway, down my elevator, directly to my car, get in my car, know exactly every turn and probably count the lights that I would know from here to locals, right? Or here to downtown. Just cuz like I can mind map everything as long as I've been there once and like if I maybe a couple more times because I remember it, then I'll know exactly where
mm.
I'm going. It's kind of
See,
like
I
fog
can't.
of
No, like,
war.
I can't do that for once. I could do that like for me to go to
a couple
GN, I
times.
could do it, but I
Mhm.
couldn't do it for like places I've been to anything less than 10 times.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't
no,
know. It's
I'm with
weird.
Joe on that. But like, no, like, cause I do a lot of, cause I'm like downtown, and one of the places that I always pick up from is Chick-fil-A, right?
Mm.
Like, I know how
Oh
to
yeah.
pull up to the back of Chick-fil-A's actually crazy, man. I get at least like if I'm doing a proper DoorDash, I'll get like 4 or 5 orders from there a day,
Hmm.
and that's just me, right? And
Yeah.
there are like 4, 5, 6 other, Uber Eats, DoorDash bike people doing this with me. So just imagine the kind of business that Chick-fil-A is producing for itself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No more
It's
lineups.
crazy. Mm. No, like Dorian, it's crazy. There's still lineups at Chick-fil-A.
Oh yeah, I think you're right. I did see a post about this.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy, man. People just never get enough.
What's lame is that they just opened the Yorkdale one, and like the mall's closed, so there isn't really access for up here where I am or north of the 401. There is no Chick-fil-A access.
Yeah. Yeah, fair enough. That does sound
What?
like, and paying any sort of delivery fee up there would just be not feasible.
Maybe. Sometimes it's really okay. Like a lot of them, it's not that bad, especially if you're gonna order enough. Like if it was me and like my whole, like me, my dad, my girlfriend, and a couple people, like you're looking at like $80 to $100 anyways. So it's like,
Yeah.
am I really paying much more than like half a tank in gas and
Yeah.
driving down? Especially with gas being so cheap. So.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Last question. Before we tangent off the this particular thing, is there animosity between different services? Like, is this just like taxiing, where like they're upset, or you guys like get in each other's way and shit, and you guys like beef with the other like guys and shit?
Nah, like not whatsoever. Like everyone, what's cool about the kind of like deliverer business is that like we all know that at the end of the day, like the only person that's looking out for us is ourselves,
Yeah.
and we understand that. Because like going outside right now, I joke and it's stuff like that, but it's really difficult because there are homeless people everywhere, like literally everywhere. Like first day on the job, guys, I'm flying down Spadina Avenue, and a homeless guy jumps out of nowhere and almost knocks me off my bike, and I had to just slam on the brakes in the middle of traffic and let him fly by. And that's on the first day. So homeless people are in abundance right now, and the tensions with everyone like social distancing. Like I've had at least I'm in the bike lane, like on the road, and people walk by on the sidewalk and yell at me 6 feet. Like that's how messed up people are right now because of how stressed out they are about the virus.
Mhm.
So it's a really great experience and everything, but I think you need to have a lot of caution and you need to really think about everything you do. Just like it's just like doing the getting to GN, right? Like I need to know how I'm gonna get there, how I'm gonna avoid as many obstacles as possible, and then how I'm gonna get home safely. Like that's
Yeah.
kind of just what I'm planning. But it's like you were saying, Dorian. I think it's a really good thing, and I think it's especially good because it's giving me, and I'm not a student who really needs to really get out of debt, but I'm a person, and I'm a you know first year who wants to kind of get ahead, and that's what this summer was for, because I was balancing job and all these activities at school with school itself, so I was hoping to come home and work and make some actual money and build a name for myself, and so this is kind of like not even it's not the same thing, but it's a way to make money and feel independent uh, while this is going on, and I think it's really beneficial to the younger generation. And I think those who really, really, really want to get it, like if you want something, I feel like you can do it. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah,
Like
absolutely.
where there's a will, there's a way.
This time of your life specifically is built around like what you want to do, and as much like I'll be honest, like I'm 26 going 27. This like small like first year university time, so I'd say like around 19 to like right around my age now, is like that
Mm,
5, 6, 7 year time span where like sure you might be pressured to like do stuff, but like you're not
mm,
obligated to have anything.
yeah,
Like you could
yeah,
come out of this like 7 years from now, have nothing. You could travel the world and come
yep,
back home and be like, I'm broke, or like
mm-hmm,
whatever it is, and then you are expected to do something with your life. So like you already to get ahead, like especially what you mean like now, if you're just thinking like, oh, I'm getting ahead like a year, you're getting ahead like 6, 7 years if you like trend or maintain the amount of gaining that you're doing. And at the end of the day, money is money. Like gains are gains. It doesn't matter how you
yeah,
get it. Like who the fuck
mm,
cares? Like that is a good way to make money, especially right now. Like of course. It just like as long as you're safe, right? As long as you like you don't think you're putting yourself at risk, and the benefit of these kinds of jobs, unlike uh how do I say it? The benefit of actually your particular situation without like, revealing too much to an audience that doesn't need to know is that
yeah,
you're not like you're not dying broke to do this. Whereas some people might be,
yeah,
right? Like some
exactly,
person that's doing the same job as you is thinking like I need to pay for this medical bill or I need to pay for this
yeah,
medication or this food that's or like my rent, right? And
mm,
and at the end of the day like you're not taking that job from them, but it's good that those jobs are available for people who are striving and like
Yeah,
looking
exactly.
for it, right? So
Like
that's super cool.
it's not it's I don't want to be like struggling and stuff, but what I want to do is I want to give myself the best chance to succeed possible.
Mhm.
And like I just want to do what's best for me. And
Yeah.
this is really cool because it's like, yo, if you really want to work and you're willing to suffer, because oh my god, have my legs burnt.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I can
But
Oh, good. You're
once
finally gonna fix your chicken legs.
I'm gonna get you for that one, Joe.
I look
But
forward to your comeuppance.
but no, I'm pretty sure there's some very interesting city video of me on some major streets doing some. Oh my goodness. I got on Mount Pleasant the other day. You know that huge ramp
Yep.
Oh, the
on Mount
hill?
Pleasant? Yeah. I
Yeah,
got on
I
Mount
know it well.
Pleasant the other day because they closed 3 streets and I had to deliver a sushi order and I had no other way. And I was like, if I die, I die, but I'm gonna get them their sushi. And I did it. I was so happy.
Yo, I love it too, cause like all I'm imagining when you give me any bit of this. Remember the first Spider-Man movie with Tobey Maguire?
Mm-hmm.
And you know how he was delivering pizzas on his little moped thing? There's no effort, obviously. It's just him like driving around New York, right? And like not dying. But like
Yeah.
I'm just like envisioning that, but just for you, cause like you're shorter, you could be Spider-Man like it all works out together.
Uh-huh.
And I think it would be perfect if someone had filmed you. I would love to see what it looks like. Just even if it's just you going by. Like if I'm downtown at some point and I happen to see a person that looks like you and it is you, fuck dude, I'm gonna fucking lose my mind.
I'm gonna start ordering on DoorDash, just praying you show up at my door.
Yo, I will seriously, like, you tell me where to bike to, I will bike there and I will park my ass at whatever restaurant you order from and I will pick up your order. I promise you. I can do that. I do it for my stepmom all the time.
Hilarious.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
To
No, but
wrap
it's
up
like,
our conversation on DoorDash delivery, I thought I'd share a funny story.
Sure.
When I was in college, the preferred method of delivery of the drug dealers in my apartment complex
God.
was to use Uber Eats and DoorDash bags so that they could go in and out of apartments without being sus. So people would just knock on your door with like Uber Eats bags, and usually like if they come into your house, open it up, and it would just be full of like mushrooms and weed.
Nice.
very nice, very nice. Very,
So if
That's
this
actually-
DoorDash thing doesn't work out for you, Dylan, you have a second career.
Yeah, you lost the
oh,
bag.
very nice.
You lost the bag.
Very nice.
No, don't you
Oh.
pay for the bag?
No, they just sent it to me.
Yeah, so just lose your bag.
Big brain.
Dude, that bag is gonna be a sick cardboard bag after you're done with this shit.
So give it to Sosa so that when he gets evicted, he can live in the bag.
Oh my god. Live in the bag. That man is like 7 feet tall. What the hell are you talking about?
Well, he's not finding any box that's bigger.
He needs a box for it, bro. It's not a box.
It's
Oh my
a little lavish for a guy living at Jane and Finch, don't you think?
Yo.
I've already extended a lease offer to Sosa living in the vacuuming closet. I've already extended him that lease offer. I don't know if he takes it, but we'll see. Well, he'll get back to me very soon.
You mean
But, you
Bender's closet in Futurama?
Very much so. It's an upgrade from the closet in GN, but he's slowly getting there. He's slowly getting
I feel like if I had to imagine Sosa sleeping, that's exactly what happens. Like he goes into a small closet and just sleeps standing up.
there. And then you open the door and his eyes slowly open. Hello.
He
That's
could be-
definitely Sosa.
Sosa in most
He's
cases.
definitely Dracula.
Yeah, he has convinced me actually that he is quite a robot. Unlike the few times that him and Ray like joke around or like you guys joke around. Like if I didn't see that on a normal like everyday basis, I would think that he's just like a robot.
Hey, as
Yep.
long as we're agreed that Sosa's in the closet, that's fine.
Oh,
Yep,
I mean, hey,
that's where he is.
as long as he's happy.
As some of you may know, and we appreciate you watching at home. There was an LCS that happened that was hosted by Luxury Gaming, and it's essentially like an online tournament where they made like
Fucking-
Discord tables.
I fucking
For
hate that they
everyone-
closed the LCS. I don't know if I made this clear in the Siobhan one or like the previous podcast. I don't know. So for you guys now that you play now, well, Joe, you don't play League, but Dylan, So the
Mm.
professional North American League scene, like you know how we call it the
Oh my god. Is it
NAWCQ?
called LCS?
It's called the LCS. It's called the
Oh
League Championship
no.
Series. And so they took it and like they called their luxury championship series the LCS. And let's just be like I don't give a fuck about slandering. This situation started from, remember, I don't know if you Joe, you might have been around on the team when this started, you might not have been. They were trying to start like a round robin, literally LCS style team competition where like
Mm-hmm.
teams all sent in a player like once a week or a day, and we played like best of one round robin rotations in like a
Yeah.
series. And like they
Mm.
wanted like team submissions with like buy-ins, literally what like the professional esports teams are doing, but for like
Yeah.
a thing that they would pay for and promote, and like they would just like franchise you in as a team, and they would be like they'd be like the NBA for like all of the
Yeah.
teams.
I remember
And
seeing the posts, but I don't think I was on Cravings at the time.
okay, so yeah, so the post probably came out and it was like a thing. I think it was very small because like I was like it was just like me, Mark, and like basically everyone before you. So like Mark, me, Cody, Craig, and I was like, our team is basically too small, and like our best player is Mark, so like we're just gonna get shit on. But like I'm not gonna pay the buy-in on this because they wanted to create something that was a good idea. Like that was actually a really good idea, especially if we were competing with like E-Man and fucking GN and like a whole bunch of other teams. And I even talked to Ray about it, and like everyone thought it was a great idea, right? So then
Yeah.
it never actually came to fruition. Nothing actually happened. And then this like recently, obviously after the PPG successfully proved that they could play online, the luxury
Mm.
series like came out, and I saw the flyer and everything, and the first thing I did was shit on the fact that it was called the LCS, because
Yeah.
you could have called it anything. Like, don't call it something that someone else, one of the biggest games in the world, is already branding their North American product with. Like, when I refer to the LCS, like when someone says, "Oh, I played the LCS," it's like, wait, you played League of Legends like professionally? And it's like, no, we're talking about the luxury tournament. It's like, oh, I call it the luxury tournament because like just
Mm.
like PPG, right? Like it's just the pro play games tournament. So
Yeah.
I'm not trying to correct you. I just think it's funny. That's just like a small rant. Cause
Oh no, it's all good. It's all good.
yeah, but you
Salty
did.
League player meme inbound.
Yeah. Did you play? So did you play all of them or just one?
I just played one. I entered the most recent one, and I fed. Well, I won my first two rounds, then I lost two, then I won one, then I lost the last round of day one. Um, and I was playing pure Eldlik, which was not a good choice. And the reason why I hate like online Yu-Gi-Oh is because everyone just anti-decks everyone else. Like there's no way in Yu-Gi-Oh right now, like at a real tournament, people would main deck like three Lightning Storm and three Dark Ruler no more. Like that's not really things that happen. And because of the way online Yu-Gi-Oh is structured, everyone knows what everyone plays, and they will hard counter their main decks to beat you. So it's just like it's so much to think about already, just like more than a regular Yu-Gi-Oh tournament. And in
Can you
addition, like you
change?
have,
Sorry to
sorry, go
interrupt.
ahead.
Can you change your deck during rounds, like between rounds?
No, so the one of the really annoying things for me was I didn't have a lot of time to test, and they had the signups for the tournament I think on a Thursday morning. So I had to give in my deck list on the Thursday or the Wednesday night before the tournament. So I didn't get to test my deck for those 3 days leading up to it like you would a regular event. And I thought that was something that I didn't really like because I think, like those last few touches on a deck are so critical. Those hours that I spend in rooms with like my friends before events, like changing ratios, changing side decks, changing extra decks, like those are the most important things for winning because they do actually come up. And the fact that you're not able to do that is just like mind-boggling to me and really, I think, hinders some of the experience that playing Yu-Gi-Oh should provide. But I do wanna give luxury like a solid shout out for doing what it's doing in terms of the online community.
Yeah.
I'm not the type of guy who really loves to participate in those tournaments. Like I enter a few every once in a while, but they're really providing a service for those who want to play, and I respect that.
Yeah, absolutely. It takes work ethic to build an infrastructure that's gonna handle like
Yeah,
taking deck lists and managing players and
yeah,
probably
for
dealing
sure.
with like rulings and shit. So like
Yeah, they have to hire judges and stuff like that.
yeah, So I
Yeah,
completely
and,
agree.
and that's a
Other
lot of work,
than
and I understand that.
so other than the fact that you were playing online and that you didn't enjoy the actual online interaction, from a perspective of actually organized play, how did you find the tournament? Like, did it run smoothly? Did you wish certain things were done better? Did it meet your expectations, exceed them? From like what was in Luxury's control? Because if you didn't like online play, you didn't like online play. But from what was actually
Yeah.
kind of within people's control.
And sorry to
Well,
declare
I
like
think. Go ahead.
like where
Yeah.
you were playing. You were playing on Dueling Book, yeah?
Yeah. I was playing on
Okay.
DB. Yes,
Yeah.
that's where they host their tournaments. So, back to Joe's question, which is a good question. Everything that was under Luxury's control was exactly what I like expected it to be as an online tournament, right? Like, if we're gonna give you our hard-earned money to run a tournament, you have to make something that's somewhat feasible and somewhat viable for us to use, right? Like that's just what we expect as consumers. And so I was happy with their use of the Twitch platform because I felt like it was effective. Um, I felt like rounds went a little long sometimes, just like randomly, but that's not really something you can control, right? Like that's just people playing slow,
That's not new either.
especially on DB, especially on DB. Um, but I think everything was pretty good. Rounds were sent out in like there was like in the Discord there would be like sections for everything. So if you want to see like pairings, you would click the pairings, and then there would be links to every round. And then if you want to see like general announcements on like the tournament, you could go there as well. So I think everyone was everyone was on the same page, and they were trying to run things as smoothly as possible. So I give them kudos for that.
Okay. Other than the fact that it was like online play, would you do it again?
Uh, that's that has nothing to do with the online tournament. I think that has more to do with like having the drive to play Yu-Gi-Oh online and like learn the format online. Like
Yeah.
when you're learning the format in person, you're learning the format with your friends, with the people you trust, with your in my case, my store, right? Like when I'm trying to prep myself for a format or an event, I'm going there, I'm reading all the cards, I'm testing, I'm sleeving, like it's an experience, and there's so many things that I learn in that time period where I'm at the store, I'm talking to my friends, I'm playing against random people. Like those things add up and they make the difference over a long tournament. And so I think that without that, it really hinders my ability to succeed online, I think. And listen, I'm not trying to say that I'm better than anybody or should have done better at the LCS, anything like that. I generally believe that people do better in real life than online because of you're able to control more, right? Like you are able to do the best with what you have, which is what Yu-Gi-Oh was all about.
Yep. Yeah, I
So
think
I think that's
I agree that like obviously the format's kind of this is why I haven't touched online. It's the same thing.
yeah. The format is
It's
also just a disclaimer for everybody. The format is just also ridiculously toxic. Like
yeah.
everything revolves around needle fiber and the Mecha Phantom Beast link, generating free advantage. Um, every deck is playing Jet Synchron if you're playing needle fiber, and needle fiber just becomes so much like it's just so ridiculous and it's so splashable. And so many decks are abusing that, and then you have so much good support coming out in Eternity Code. It's so many decks with so much power that have access to such broken cards, right? And playing against that is just so not fun sometimes because you're playing against someone who opens like, you know, Jet Synchron in any average hand. They end on like Borreload Savage Herald and two XYZs in a combo deck, or like just 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 the most ridiculous things in the world because we haven't had the time in person to test everything and see like with our physical eyes and like interact with our opponents. We have not been able to see all these combos and how to counter them, and the fact that they're all full power running rampant on Dueling Book does not make it any easier,
Yeah.
right? Because you're reading all these ridiculously broken cards for the first time on Dueling Book, and you're not prepared for that. And then because it's on Dueling Book is going to use exactly what you have in your hand. So even if you do have any prior knowledge about how to play against that, you can't use it.
Mhm.
So I don't know. And I'm not trying to be that guy who hates on online tournaments because he fed in one of them. Like trust me, guys, that's not where I'm coming from. I admit I'm a feeder, and I
You
love
have
every
fed in plenty of real tournaments as well.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you,
You're
Joe.
welcome, Dylan.
And you've handled it actually really well when you do feed in tournaments. So yeah, I don't think anyone's gonna call you out for it. I think a lot of people. I think you'll actually find a lot of community sentiment. I think the people that are playing online are people just like that, like want to, like dying to, or
Yeah, no, and I have a tremendous amount of respect for them. Like Ryan is doing that right now, and he's grinding, and he's playing a lot of these bigger tournaments. And every second that I'm not doing DoorDash and busting my ass in terms of delivery, I'm messaging him saying, "Hey, what's your round? How are you doing? What deck are you playing? What are you playing against?" And I'm trying to help him out and be supportive every way I can. And I have a lot of friends in Halifax who are doing that as well with the PPG tournaments. And shout out to them, and they're doing really well too. So I have a tremendous amount of respect for the dedication it takes to play online at a competitively high level.
I also think it's a great way to actually look at it the opposite way, which is the people who probably didn't like playing in person at all. Like, there's probably a large amount of people, social anxiety, like the pressure, just like functionally, they probably like imagine. Obviously we're agreeing that like playing online is objectively a little harder than just like picking up cards and shuffling them and playing your own cards. But playing online might be just like
Lord knows I can shuffle.
Yeah, playing online is like mentally easier in some cases that I only just thought about, like for the people that just like can't stand like touching people or being near each other, or like the pressure of like someone really sitting across the table from you.
You make a really good point there, but the problem is I don't think that the LCS, your favorite acronym, meets that kind of condition or helps that kind of player base. Because the problem is
because you have to be in the Discord room talking to them the whole time, so you're not really.
It's not even that. Like, it's the barrier to entry. Because think about it. Like, us joining the LCS, a lot of us know Hani personally, and if we don't know Hani, like the degree of separation is 1. We all know someone that was Hani. Like, we're all friends with Ryan. He was head judge for the first LCS, and he's played in like all of these. We know the guys that are topping these events, and we know the guys that are running these events because we've gone to locals, we've gone around the world and played with them. So let's pretend you're an introvert that doesn't like playing this game, or quite frankly, you're just a guy that's trying to get into the competitive scene. Like, if you're not going to locals, there's no way to actually get into that competitive scene and feel comfortable enough to play the LCS.
Yep.
God knows if you haven't gone to locals and fed 100 million times with volcanics like I did for 6 fucking years, like, you're not showing up to the LCS where every single one of those players is probably a higher caliber than the average player at a locals, and like fucking going Adamantipator or Turbo on your ass.
Yeah, you're right. You're right about that. And I think just like a separate tangent point that I just like figured out while you said what you said is that this isn't even a local. This is like a national. Like, every time they have one of these, it's not even national, right? It's like worlds. Anyone can, is this like only North American residents?
No.
Yeah, so like you can literally take like that tournament can be full at like 1,000 players, right? Like,
3 of my opponents were from Europe.
Yeah,
and
it's just
I was
like
talking to them, and they were telling me like they're trying to get Hani to extend to limit the amount of rounds day 1 because of the time difference. Yeah. So that was really interesting as well.
That's crazy. Yeah, like I didn't even think about that. That like even on entry, specifically the barrier for entry. The barrier for entry. You're right. I wasn't actually, when I said playing online, I wasn't specifically talking about the luxury tournament. I was just talking about like just online, right? Like just on Dueling.
Like, Dueling Book does cover what you're talking about, and Dueling Book is great for that.
Yeah, but I do agree that like there's no way, like, unless you're in a Facebook group that even got the posting for the flyer for the tournament. You're not seeing this tournament. Like, your local card dude is not sending you sending you the flyer and like, hey, go check out this online tournament on this website, Dueling Book, where you don't have to like. So stores stores should not support that tournament, by the way, like, at all. There's no reason a store should support that tournament because it removes, like, online tournaments remove people from purchasing the cards, and they do not support the stores. So they're not gonna host tournaments, which is why we can get to it now. The Konami online play Discord new tournament policy where like OTS tournaments can still run but online, um, is fucking. I mean, like it's stupid.
Oh, it's straight up just like
So when this
awful.
first got announced, I spoke to you very shortly after that, Dorian. And I remember I was way more critical than you. I was like, these guys are morons. If they're not just going to use Dueling Book, they're absolutely dumb. Why wouldn't they just use Dueling Book? And you said, look, at least they're trying. They can't use Dueling Book. It's not their server. And they need people to buy the cards.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
All of that
And
is
you
true.
actually seemed rather optimistic about it. And the more I thought about it, the more I actually thought you were correct at the time.
No,
And
no,
we were
I
discussing
am. All of that is true still. That's the
Yes,
problem.
it's absolutely true. And then we were discussing why it would go wrong, and I don't remember what it was that my argument was, but you actually had a very good counterpoint to it. So we'll forget about what I said. And then the point that you made, which I still laugh about at the time, was Kaiju's Sphere Mode and Nibiru.
Yeah.
That interaction over a webcam is fucking miserable.
Here, what is that? It's a Nibiru. Just put a token on your thing. Oh, what does it do? You move all your mans. So I actually, the thing that you did say, I think, was the thing that people were memeing that I saw much later, which is those memes where like I don't know if anyone saw it. I'll try and put it on the screen. It's essentially like this is my deck in play, and it's like the camera, and then this is my deck. Like these are my cards out of camera, and it's like all of the cards that you would need. And it's
Yeah.
like your
Yeah.
opponent can never see your hand, and nothing is
Yeah.
revealed, so you can just have your hand be whatever you want.
Yeah, like I
Because-
could just have 3 straight hand traps in my hand at all times. I could have Ash Valor Impermanence in my hand at all times,
Yeah.
just ready to go, right?
So,
So
that was the I think that was the reasoning. We were just talking about like how misplays and like over the camera shit doesn't work. And from talking to my friend Luke, who's been playing a lot of Magic over the camera, the reason why I kind of stood behind the decision to do it at the time was just I think I was just happy to see them say something about it because like I said, I was tweeting at them before the pandemic, like months before they even announced it was in Florida, just to tell me like, hey, we're canceling. Like we're prepared, we're listening. Even just to tell me like, hey guys, we know like the world's like a little worried about this COVID thing and just updating us like every month until now. Right? So
Yeah.
like when they started doing that and they started posting things like, hey, we can't produce this product or hey, the premiere events are coming out, I just like that they're communicating. Like anything that you're passionate about, if
yeah,
it's
it's a step
run
in the
by-
right direction.
Right. If it's run by someone else, you want to know. Like it's as a person that consumes that product or uses the product, I want to know that they're thinking about the consumer and like the risks that I'm taking by like
Yeah,
continuously
they have
using their
your
product.
best interest at heart. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
So at the time, business wise, they're not buying Dueling Book. Like period. They don't make any money off of it. They can't run
Obviously.
ads. Like they're not buying it. They're not sponsoring Dueling Book. And like we've just all agreed, like if you don't understand why a store wouldn't support Dueling Book, it's because they sell cards and card accessories. Dueling Book doesn't have
And
cards, nor do they offer you accessories.
Dueling Book gives you access to everything,
Right.
so you never need to buy it.
Like if the only reason why Dueling Book has not been shut down, do you guys know why Dueling Book actually still exists?
Yeah, don't they have it in like? Don't they run the servers out of New Zealand or something where the copyright laws are slightly different, so Konami can't take them down?
So that is part of it. That is true for most things. So it's not against copyright, but copyright. So how do we explain this? You aren't actually in trouble for being copyright striked in any way as long as you're not earning money using someone else's product. They don't run ads on the website. They don't offer anything behind a paywall. They don't have a reason for them to be shut down because they're just a resource. They are a database of cards and they have coded in a way to duel against other players, but the rating doesn't matter and you don't earn any money through the website. They offer
Hold up.
donations.
Then why did the original website get taken down?
So they probably I don't know about that, but the original website probably got taken down because they probably tried to find a paywall. Because ideally in your mind, why aren't we paying for Dueling Book? Like why aren't we paying for something but like why aren't they making tons of money off of people
I
like,
wouldn't pay for Dueling Book.
well,
I don't think most people would. I think we'd all just go to some other resource like Dueling Nexus just to have
Right.
something.
assuming that there is nothing, right? Assuming that like someone created it and they're like, please pay me for my service. If you want to use this thing, pay for it online. And the idea is, sure, it was offered for free, but realistically, like if that thing was gonna be as good as it is, sure, you guys might not, but there are a lot of people who probably think like,
Who would?
Those guys that go
Yeah,
to
no,
locals and buy packs just for fun, every day they go and they go 3 times a week, they're paying the $5 a month for Dueling Book, right? If
Yep.
this is the only way they can play for a short amount of time, and if this is where all of their friends are, and like where locals start to go that way. So the reason why they still exist is because they're honestly just a resource, and at the end of the day, it's just access to like it's a different visual for how you're gonna manage cards. Um,
Yeah.
it's not going to get taken down unless something either really bad happens on there, like a tragic bullying incident or trolling of some kind, or something really bad happens, and like legally it's affecting the brand of Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yeah.
Which like causes Konami, like Konami can't take it down unless they can prove it's a detriment to their money making business. And so
Okay.
until people start going to Dueling Book instead of going to locals or buying cards, because people are like, it's free on here and I can play tournaments on here and like I get trophies and all this cool shit on Dueling Book instead of playing cards, that's kind of
Yeah.
where the problem comes up, and that's why they will forever support the creators that push buying cardboard and buying physical product, even though you can't go to a store and shit right now. So like
Yep.
that's why Dueling Book will exist, and that's why
100%.
they're never gonna buy Dueling Book, because they want to. At the end of the day, they want to create a resource that they can control entirely, which I find is
Mm.
ironic because the creator, we talked about this at least in the team chat, is the creator Konami, the creator Yu-Gi-Oh, never wanted his cards to sell. He dreamed, it's like in an interview from like a couple years ago, he dreamed that Yu-Gi-Oh would be a game entirely played by for free. And so
Wow.
it's ironic that, Konami like pushes it, but Konami is also the company that owns and regulates and manages most slot machine software. So like they know gambling. They know what it's like to keep people buying in. And so at the end of
Mhm.
the day, sure, like your creators are making cards and cute like animals and cute little girls and lolly chicks and shit, and like at the end of the day, that's probably all part of the formula. Like
Yep.
we wouldn't keep getting
It's a
lolly
sinister.
cards if
It's a
they
more
stopped buying
sinister
them.
way of seeing
Yeah,
of seeing the way that they market things. Yeah. No, for sure.
right? Like if we didn't turn Ash Blossom into what it is, I wouldn't have 4 different versions of it. But I
Yep.
do. Like I do. And I'm going to get a fifth
And
one
like
when the
I
ulti comes
think
out.
I no, for sure. So am I. But I think an example of that in kind of the sinister, the underlining element of sinister that is Konami, is the short prints for me at least.
Yeah.
So recently, it's been really, I've been trying to build different decks, and I haven't been really active in the game. So when I come back, it's not like I have all these old random cards that I need for these sets, and not necessarily old. Sorry, that's the wrong vocabulary. What I mean is I'm not around to get it, and when I come back, I need them.
Hmm.
And there's absolutely just a shortage on the market of them, and you're just paying absolutely insane prices
Hmm.
for cards, right? Like look at Pot of Extravagance. Like Pot of Extravagance was $100 CAD for what, 6 months, 7 months,
Hmm.
and look at Golden Lord. Golden Lord is 100 and what,
Dude, that
25,
that
130 CAD.
disgusted me.
Golden Lord is $100 plus,
Yeah.
and there has literally been zero place in the world where you can legally activate the card that is physically in your hand.
Hmm.
Exactly. That's how short printed the card is. So I think that Konami doing that is just, it sends such a bad, it leaves such a sour taste in my mouth as a consumer, because it's like I'm already going out of my way to give you my hard-earned money and support your game, but now not only do you put me in locals surrounded by sweaty people, you decide that you're going to give me my deck at case ratios, which means that I'll have to spend at least $300 $400 to have an actually viable competitive deck.
So this is where the fun part happens. You think that way, right? And then if you take it
Yeah.
one step further, this is them securing the way they would make money in this quarter, because there's no one in the stores to buy product normally. So really think about this. Listen to this part, okay? They know when the cards are coming out, right? They know that
Yeah.
we're not going back to stores before Dragoon comes out. They know that every single human that plays this game, at least competitively, and if not competitively, casually, that likes Dark Magician and Red Eyes Black Dragon, is gonna buy for that card, or they're gonna buy towards it, right? So now you have Konami producing a set that is about to fix the entire quarter that they lost of actual playable sales that stores did. And then they trickle it down to their little umbrella corporations, which are stores. And the stores are like, fuck yeah, I didn't make any money last month or the last 2 months. Now I'm going to make tons of money on the new tins. Like, isn't it just so strange that it's like right now that you have
Yeah.
I
like
fucking hate you because you're right. Oh my
yeah,
god.
weird ratios and like broken cards. It's like I'm listening to Dylan even explain it. And I'm like, you know what? When was the format last like broken where you could pick up any of these like decks? Like we have 4 decks or 5 that are just like
Well, think
whatever.
about it, Dorian. Just to give some context to the viewers, think about it. We have all the deep sea support coming out in Eternity Code, which of
Mhm.
course the spell is a short printed secret and hard to pull.
Mhm.
You have Atlantean Mermail, which is a deck. You have Dinosaur, which got the new baby, which is of course a short printed secret rare. You have Orcus, which let me guess, another short printed secret. Orcus Girsu. You have Eldritch, which is a $150 short printed secret that you need 3 of. And then you have Adamanticipator, which is 3 $80 short print secrets you need just in Researcher. And that's not counting the money you have to spend on Borload Savage Dragons and all these other ridiculously expensive staple Link monsters.
Yep.
Like, to play these decks in actuality would cost so much. Like, look at Appaloosa, right? Like, Appaloosa, oh my god. And you need Appaloosa in any deck that can possibly lose to Nibiru. So, the fact that they're not reprinting that and the fact that it's been so expensive for so long just kind of indicates to me how Konami really feels about like their casual audience. And like
So
same thing with Pot of Extravagance.
so the problem with what you're thinking, not the problem, but like I know what you mean when you say the things that you're saying. However,
Mm,
the standard Konami things, the standard like Yu-Gi-Oh Konami things still apply. So we say Konami, but we're talking about like Yu-Gi-Oh Konami. So Yu-Gi-Oh
yeah,
Konami says like they know like Appaloosa is coming out in the Megaton. Period. Like I don't have to repeat myself. Or it comes out in that Battles of Legend set. Like it's being reprinted in one of the two, right?
yeah,
So
it'll come out eventually. That's it.
right.
That's a fact. Yeah.
And so like you have like these weird sets that like come out, like these side sets, right? That are their money makers, and they go through this grand promise. Like everyone remembers when they said no more short prints, we're moving rares. Like obviously I haven't bought into that yet, but like only in the core
Don't even
sets.
get me started.
And then
Don't even
like
get me started.
and then now we have it in the side sets where it's like
Oh
all the
my
side set
god.
cards are amazing, and it's like, but didn't we already know this from like Sky Striker? Like, didn't we
Uh huh.
already learn this like 2 years ago, 3 years ago? That like,
Yep.
and
Oh no,
instead,
no, it was longer than that. It was
okay.
Necros 2015.
Oh yeah, 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 for sure.
Yep.
So like
That was correct.
they know what they're doing, and the ironic part is we're always surprised. Like we're surprised. Like we're acting like we didn't know this was coming, or we just didn't expect it. Every time we like look at Konami or we look at Yu-Gi-Oh, and we're like, maybe this time it'll be better, right? And even what you say, like
Mm.
Dinosaurs was one of the hottest selling structure decks before Salamangreat, right? And like they give you a card that says, "Hey, we're gonna even reprint the structure deck so that you can rebuy it again as a special edition version of the structure deck." Isn't it like the dinosaur deck? I think is like the first special edition reprint of itself, like sealed. And I've never seen it before. I think
Yeah.
the only other one was like Monarchs, but that was just for like a rerun of the cards. But the dinosaur deck, for it to be reprinted, like exactly what you're saying, if someone didn't play 3 years ago and now they're getting an expensive as fuck card, and someone's like, oh, I want to play this cool card that I got out of this box, what do I need? Oh, I need all these other dinosaur cards. Where do I get them? Oh, it's in a structure deck that came out 4 years ago, sold like crazy, and it never was reprinted again.
Yep. OB
And it's
Raptors are like $11, $12.
yeah, and that's
And it's a super rare from a friggin' structure deck.
right, and they weren't reprinted in anything, which I'll be honest,
Nope.
it's likely to get reprinted now. Like now that once we started learning like the formula for like how they start reprinting cards and like they start picking like one or twos, like isn't the list for like something that one of the babies is getting reprinted or is already reprinted as like an ultra or something?
Yeah.
And it's like it's gonna start getting crazy with reprinting that to the point where like so to speak to all of what we're talking about is I will not buy anything during this drought. I've just basically put all of my Yu-Gi-Oh purchasing on hold because at the end of the day, I guess like how you value money is you could buy them now. And you're right, you could probably pay a lot less than what I would have to pay come October when this is all mostly over, hopefully. Um,
Hope.
and then I could laugh at you and say you spent $300 to $500 to $800 on a deck that you didn't even get to play legally before they banned it. So
Yes,
like
sir.
realistically, why would I support Konami in this situation when they're not supporting me?
Yeah.
Right? Like
Like
you go back to
it
what you
really
said.
makes me question my dedication to the game at this point, right? Because like, I've been playing this since I was in grade 9, grade 10. And it's a grind. Like, I would just blow everybody off at the end of school to go play Yu-Gi-Oh at ANC with my friends. And it took a long time to get good at the game, to spend money, and to travel and to learn. And now all of a sudden, Konami's basically saying, look, in this quarantine, uh, no one's going to be able to play any deck besides something Adam Anticipator, something Needle Fiber, or something Eldlick. And good luck, have fun with the online scene there. We're not going to give you any help in terms of monetary value reprinting, and we're going to make every good card in our sets short printed secrets. Like, what does that say to the consumer base, Dorian? I think it's really made me question myself more than it had, because I've always known this about Konami, right? Like, this is kind of just like what we've blindly accepted about the business,
Mm-hmm.
and now that it's really being pushed on us harder than any, because this is affecting the competitive players the hardest right now.
Mm-hmm.
So now that it's finally being pushed on our dinner table, we don't want to eat it. It's not something that we want to see, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's just a really harsh reality and a harsh eye opener into the world of Yu-Gi-Oh for outside or anybody who really wants to try and get into it. For that matter.
Yeah. It's a bad time for physical games. I'd love
Mm-hmm.
to see what business is like after. I haven't really paid
Yeah.
attention too much to what Magic was doing, but to
Mm-hmm.
kind of branch, I don't want to branch too far into it, but I've been playing the League of Legends version of their online card game, Legends of Runeterra,
Yeah.
and it is by
Mm-hmm.
far the most fun I've had doing anything in a long time.
Xavier's been telling me about that for 3 days now. Yeah, he's been telling me to try it.
The fun thing about that game is if any of you want to try it is it's not lore based in any way. So Joe, like you can play that game and know nothing. Nothing. It will teach
Cool.
you
Which is
everything you
nice.
need to know. It's basically just magic. A lot of things
Mm-hmm.
are very similar, like the blocking phase and the attacking phases and like um, first strike and double strike and all that shit. How you manage
Mm-hmm.
mana and stuff. So if you've played Magic before, it's basically just that. So to argue that it's different from Yu-Gi-Oh, but in a sense where it doesn't have another format, so it's very similar to Yu-Gi-Oh in the sense of like these are your removal cards, these are like your low cost cards, these are your spells, these are your whatever, your spell
Mm-hmm.
speeds are all the same. So like once you know that, it's basically just like standard Yu-Gi-Oh, 3 copies in a deck, play the game. And the fun part for
Yep.
me is like I'm a League player casually, right, for fun. So
Mm-hmm.
just like seeing all the cool art and the lore and like building things, and this is why I'm getting to it from the perspective of Konami. They as in Riot Games wanted the game to be entirely played where you did not pay for packs. You could not
Mm.
pay for packs. You cannot pay for packs. You can't get
Yeah.
cards unless you play the game. And what you do is like, let's say a set comes out, right? So like, let's say this newest set, what's it called, Eternity Code, comes out, and
Mm-hmm.
you just play draft in against like other people playing draft, where you're just opening packs and playing cards, like you're adding cards to a deck total that is only
Mm.
from that set or a couple like a set or two within, which is like modern
Yeah.
or standard I think for Magic. And then
Mm-hmm.
as you play with those cards more and more, like whether you lose or you win, you gain experience, and every time you hit like an experience milestone, you just get like a shit ton of cards from the set for free.
Yeah.
And so like
See,
the
I
the
think that's
monetization,
amazing.
right? And like that stuff like that is like I didn't like Duel Links because it's still like
It's still
wanted
pay to
me.
win.
Yeah, it's still like if I threw in $1,000, I'd be better than you, who just started off non-pay to win, right? Like pay to like no pay, no money at all, because it would take you
I don't
like
know.
it's. Go ahead.
See the cool kind of topic I wanted to discuss here was uh I'm a huge basketball fan. And anyone who's been alive for the past 5 years know how the extent to which the NBA has taken off, right? Like everyone watches the NBA constantly now, and it's just huge. And on during this break, I feel like the public persona of what's essential in life and what we really need to be supporting has changed drastically. And so I'm not saying that there's not a place for professional athletes because that would be absolutely foolish. What I'm saying is I think there's going to be a difference in appreciation for what they bring to the table. Because at the end of the day, the professional athletes aren't the ones who are going to support us mostly through these times, right? Like it's those doctors and nurses. And so I think people are really going to get, a head. They're going to get their head put on a swivel and turn, and they're going to see things in a new light. And I think card games will unfortunately be part of that kind of it'll be in that niche of like not required, but very enjoyable. And I think I think it's the worst possible time for Konami to be doing this because they're showing their player base in a time of need for their player base. They're showing their player base that they only care about themselves.
Yep.
So how are you supposed to interpret that as a competitive player, right? Like how are you supposed to interpret that as a store? Like I don't understand.
Like you're right, and they could have there are simple things, right? So I'm not one to talk about problems without offering solutions, even if they're stupid solutions. It's something, right? So like even just to say the next ban list isn't coming out until we're like a couple months out of whatever this problem is. Just to say that just means that you know what, whatever I buy right now is mine, and I don't have to worry about like I won't have to worry about it when they're like, haha, back to competitive. Guess what? See ya, new format. And it's like,
do you remember? Sorry, I just want to give a quick kind of story about exactly what you just said.
Sure.
Ruggles bought a full Paleozoic deck in an Ulti First Gloat bulb right before everything kind of. Well, I don't know the timing of it towards the pandemic, but I know it was very close to it. And then during, like, right when the ban list got released, everything he bought was worthless.
That's a normal situation though. Like he could have got those cards for common and not worried about the price, and then it wouldn't have been such a big deal, right? Like he paid premium to premium out, and like we all fucking
he got punished.
Like he got punished by like that's a standard ban list issue, and like the expectancy is if you're gonna spend money, just wait till after the ban list. That's the smart thing to do, no matter what it is, because or just wait for the new set because like. I mean, I didn't spend any money for the new ban list, and we all knew these cards were coming out. I didn't know they were gonna be broken. So like whatever little $400 or $300 I've dedicated to my next Yu-Gi-Oh deck is gonna stay there, right? Like it's gonna stay available. And then when I'm done with all of this, I'm gonna be like, okay, so what am I playing? And I'm gonna buy what's there. At the time, it could have been Heroes, right? Unfortunately, it's probably not going to be, right? So
not unfortunately, very fortunately, it's not going to be Heroes. I will fucking see you play Heroes.
I'm kidding. But yeah. So yeah, I totally understand. Yeah. I'm hoping that Konami can kind of learn more from what they're lacking. I hope that like they stop producing stuff, like just stop making things so they don't bleed. And like if they stop making things, sure, like it freezes the format and freezes like us as a consumer base. But the idea is if you leave it on the end and dangle it at the end of this problem, then I have something to look forward to. Right? Like if they say, you know what, we're stopping the production of the Megatins, they're not
light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, they're not coming out until like we can see them at stores again. Then like, okay, I'll see you. You know, I'll be sure to be there when it's open.
I would have much rather preferred that. That. And just especially for me as a consumer who's online a lot. Imagine my reaction if I'm a newer player and I'm trying to buy cards and all I see are online ratios and online stores offering to buy. I have no idea what the actual ratios are. I have no idea how much these cards actually should be sold to me for. Like, I have no general knowledge about that because we don't really have access to case ratios and anything like that. It's so important when it comes to investing in Yu-Gi-Oh! And, like, it's just such a disadvantage for the consumer right now. And just to see the way that Konami, with the things that we've talked about in the video, with the short printing, with the lack of support for Dueling Book, with all of this stuff that they've come out and just done to really regress Yu-Gi-Oh, really make it worse for the time being. and I really don't think that reflects what the Yu-Gi-Oh community wants out of Konami. Like, this is not fair. The way that this quarantine has treated the Yu-Gi-Oh market and the Yu-Gi-Oh individuals, I don't think it's fair, and I don't think it's what Konami should be trying to portray as a company.
Yep.
Like, I think that it should just be better than this, because it was better than this when I first started playing. And
Yeah.
I don't agree with some of the things that they're doing, and I think one of the biggest ones for me is the short print. And that's just because, I have friends at locals who will remain nameless, but we're all gonna know who he is based on what deck I'm gonna say. True King Dinos. My friend has been playing this deck for what, a year and a half, and he cannot buy Pot of Extravagance. No matter, like, he goes to locals and he tries his very best. He sides properly. He asks me about match everything. His Dino deck doesn't work without evenly matched and Pot of Extravagance sometimes. It's just as simple as that. And because he's a student in third year trying to make ends meet, he just can't afford that. And if you look at our friends in the OCG, they're buying their Pot of Extravagances for $5.
Yep.
They're buying their Golden Lords for $5. And why do they get it for $5 and we get it for $105? Why?
That one's tough because
Like,
that's just that's not.
Did we do
Konami.
something wrong that we don't know about?
That's not Konami.
Like,
That's
I
just the
simply
market.
do not understand.
That's the market. So like that's just.
And
like,
I know it's because Konami wants to make profit, but
no.
isn't there? I think there has to be a point for Konami where they say that, like, this, there has to be a point where they say we have to put the players first at some point if we want to keep this game going.
So they can, because they make more money from casual than they do like at a 10 times competitive. It's just like it's not.
Yeah.
Like, until competitive becomes a way where like they can get sponsors from other places. Like, imagine if a regional or something, or like nationals was sponsored by Red Bull or something like that, and like they were paid a shit ton of money. But like even then, nationals isn't even that big. Like, competitive scene is just like super small in the eyes of like a casual player. And you'll notice this like over, like, I mean, if you ever, like, if you work in the store, right, and like they give you the idea of like how many Blue Eyes get sold like every day, and it's like it's a ridiculous number.
Oh my god.
Right?
It's
And it's
ridiculous.
just like people just that wanna, like, every day you run into people all the time. I play tons of games and I tell them I play Yu-Gi-Oh competitively, and they're like, "Yo, I remember my Blue Eyes deck," and I'm like, everyone has a Blue Eyes deck, or everyone has a Dark Magician deck, and it's like everyone remembers Yu-Gi-Oh because they had some cards that they used to play. And like the first thing they do every time I try to help someone or coach someone, it's like helping them fix their shitty Dark Magician or Blue Eyes deck, and I'm like, okay, like I'll help you do this once, but then after that we're playing real Yu-Gi-Oh. And like that's just the way that it goes. Like, the margin on a Blue Eyes that's been reprinted 15 million times for the casual, like, think about that. Think about what you're saying, right? A Blue Eyes can be printed a bajillion times, but Pot of Extravagance can get printed once. And it's like it's because the people that are playing Pot of Extravagance are the competitive players. But if as soon as it gets into the casual market, it's like reprinted a million times. And I don't know like how to break that like, we don't control that barrier. So like, is it the show that like doesn't air anymore? And it's like in Japan obviously it airs, so like every card that comes out is mainstream. So for casual people just watching Yu-Gi-Oh out there, seeing Firewall or seeing any of those cards is like super normal. But for us who, like, we can't even watch the Yu-Gi-Oh show, right? Like in North America, you have to like find it online. Like, that's ridiculous. So like there's just no they're just not, they're doing their best to support whoever pays for the cards now, but they're not, I don't think they're trending towards making it easier for competitive.
Yeah, and I don't understand, because the OCG, like, think of the way they treat their casuals, right? Like, Sky Striker was an expensive deck in the TCG to buy initially, right? You had to buy 3 copies of Widow Anchor, which were $40, and 3 copies of Engage, which were $100. Let's not kid ourselves, right? You also needed to buy 3 Ash Blossoms, 3 Infinite Impermanents, all that stuff. And in the OCG, you can buy that for dirt cheap. Also, In the TCG, Engage is at 0, multi-rolls at 1, and Widows at 2. In the OCG, where they've had Sky Striker for even longer, and it has been even more oppressive, they still have 2 copies of Engage, 2 Widow Anchor, and 2 multi-roll.
That's just
Because
RNG. They don't like you.
That is
and
not just RNG.
You're not gonna.
They're
They're
like,
not gonna let you. They're not gonna. Dylan, we're not
damn
gonna
it,
let
Dorian,
you come on
let
this.
me have my moment.
No, we're not gonna let you come on this podcast and try to freaking white knight your Sky Strikers back into existence. It's not working. Go play Rose, okay? Go play that shit ass list.
Okay, but my question is, why is it that the OCG makes it so that their formats can be playable, even with the older decks still staying in contention, or the TCG is just so degenerate where it's just like, okay, new format, bam, 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 bam. Okay, cool, let's play, right?
Yeah,
Like
Drew was talking about this. I think an episode or two ago. Joe and Drew and I were talking about this, and it is weird to have things like forcibly removed instead of just like letting the power creep do it.
Exactly, yeah.
It is strange, right? Because like one would imagine, like just because that deck isn't as good as this newest one doesn't mean that it can't do its best that it can. Instead, by eliminating its only functionable plays, you basically like neuter the deck and then force people to move on. Which is the answer to your question, right? Like they're forcing the player base to move on instead of allowing them to maintain. Konami doesn't like GOAT. They don't like the old formats. They don't like vintage. They don't like the fact that people pay more because Konami isn't taking any of that money, right? Like it's all stores. Stores, like they buy product from Konami, but the product doesn't help you buy an old school Pot of Greed, right? Like that doesn't change anything. They don't make any money off of me and you selling cards to each other back and forth. So like maybe if there was like some sort of tax or something that like stores could handle for trades, because like I don't know. There's no solution there. Honestly, it's just like I think it's just a TCG thing. I have no idea why other than just like business greed. And business greed like is the only way that makes sense. But I'm going to stop us here because as much as I would love to talk to you guys further, I have to do other things with my evening. But
I have to log into work now and do some work, LMAO.
But otherwise, it was great having you on, Dylan. I really appreciate you coming.
Yeah, thank you for listening to my rants, guys, about how I hate having to pay money for this game. That's literally what this was. Thank you so much.
That's everybody, dude.
That's everybody.
That's true.
We'll probably
I just feel like it's gotten worse recently.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm sure anyone that does agree with you will let us know in the comments or privately message me for sure. And then I'll just screenshot their comment and put it in the comment.
Thank you.
But yeah, thanks for coming out. If you guys want to like and subscribe, we're probably going to put this podcast up, and I'll probably have Dylan back on a few more times because he's got lots to talk about.
We're definitely having Dylan back on. Stop this.
You're also
appreciate it.
You're articulate enough, and maybe we can catch you a podcast while you're riding.
Oh Lord, oh Lord, that would be an experience to say the least.
Yeah.
Oh, you said riding. I thought you said briding. I was like, whose man's is marrying Dylan right now?
Yeah. But yeah.
Are we not on for Thursday, Joe? What?
Oh man, I already forgot our anniversary before it happened.
Okay. Thank you so much for having me on, guys. Really appreciate it. Thank you to all the viewers, and just want to give a quick shout out to my team and all my friends. Really appreciate you guys.
Who's your team?
Game Nation.
Okay.
4914 Young Street. Cough. Sorry, I just had something there.
Corona?
Not Corona, though.
Is that the Corona? You lie.
No.
All right, we'll see you guys next time.
Okay, thank you guys so much.